On July 25, 1946, as two African-American couples drove home, they were ambushed on Morris Ford Bridge, resulting in a quadruple killing. In July of 1946, Lloyd Harrison employed two young African-American couples as sharecroppers on his farm in Walton County. George Dorsey, who is married to Mae Marie Dorsey, reportedly 7 months pregnant, and Roger Malcolm, along with his wife Dorothy. Earlier in July, Roger had allegedly stabbed Barnett Hester, a white man, some say over sexual advances regarding Dorothy, some say over her rape. After his arrest, the remaining three convinced Harrison to post the $600 bail himself. He then drove the four back to his farm. At 5:30, he was forced to stop his car because 15 to 20 armed white men blocked the bridge in their passage home. At first, they only took the men, but since one of the women identified the assailants, they also removed them because they could have no witnesses. The mob then tied all four to a tree and shot and killed, using 64 shots at close range. After Mae Dorsey was shot, her fetus was reportedly removed from her body with a knife. The subject of Mae's pregnancy is up for debate, but those who believed named the child Justice Malcolm several years ago. The bodies were then left to rot in a field. Hours later, the funeral director came to pick them up. Monroe now holds a commemoration event to keep the unsolved case from being buried, and because that someone in the area likely has information that is yet to be revealed. The four victims are buried in 3 different spots. George and Dorothy are in Morgan County, along with Roger, who is in a different church. When the Morris Ford Committee placed granite markers on all the victims' grave sites, George's grave had a plaque recording his service in World War II, including 3 medals he earned. Mae Dorsey is the only victim laid to rest in Monroe. This site is now a small office park with a field adjacent containing the graveyard. The marker has been placed apparently next to that of a family member's, since the actual grave is located somewhere beneath the asphalt of the parking lot. At my visit, the field was no longer really a field, as a forest, overgrown with bushes and briars. Dorsey's grave was covered almost completely, and then once found, moss licked the edges of it. Because of this tragedy in Monroe, President Harry Truman created the President's Committee on Civil Rights, and the civil rights movement gained support. The FBI was involved in the investigation, interviewing nearly 3,000 people, yet there was no one ever brought to trial for the crime. Because this crime is no more than 80 years in the past, those who committed it are more than likely still walking around the streets of Monroe, remembering what it was back in 1940. As I sit in this otherwise serene spot, with cars passing every few minutes, it was easy to get lost in the beauty. Then the irony of the place hits you. This beautiful place is where 4 innocent people lost their lives to senseless hate. When thinking about that this place is the last one they ever witnessed, it loses its charm slightly. It's an eerie feeling to know that you reside in the same place as they once did. Dorsey's gravesite brought that feeling home as well. I stood on the asphalt parking lot where cars drove and parked every day, and knew that somewhere beneath here is where she'd been laying to rest. The marker that serves as a remembrance is covered in moss and briars, and I wonder what this has to say about the community's remembrance of this tragedy. If the definition of lynching is taken literally, this was far from the last lynching in history. One of the most recent ones was Frederick Germain Carter from Mississippi in December of 2010. It was ruled a suicide, but his friends and family members believe that there was something more to it, and this is not the only case. The same feelings of mob mentality are still available and found in society today. If we do not learn to allow justice to do its job correctly and reprimand it when it is not, then there will surely be more lynchings to come.
Jordan Hines,
Abe Sevens,
Frank Thomas,
Arthur Macaulay,
James Greer,
James Calloway,
Sterling Thompson,
John Moody,
John Brown,
Will Frambo,
Mitchell Gilbert,
Albert Rogers,
Sons of Albert Rogers,
Rufus LeSueur,
Sevaton McBride,
Jack Troy,
Floyd Carmichael,
Unknown Man,
Walter Wilking,
Charles Loki,
Alfred Iverson,
Joseph Hardy,
Simon Anderson,
Unknown,
Unknown,
Albert Royal,
Charlie Jackson,
Will Atwater,
Heatham,
Unknown,
Henry Etheridge,
Unknown,
Charlie Jones,
Caesar Sheffield,
Alonzo
Elijah
Green and
Henry
Sons,
White,
Mary
Linton
Conley,
Joe
Clinton,
Noling,
Rufus
Jesse
Moncrief,
Stater,
Mac
Colin
Johnson,
Johnson,
Unknown,
Sandy Reeves,
William Little,
Jim Waters,
Charles Kelly,
Unknown,
Eli Cooper,
Ernest Glenwood,
Eli Cooper,
Ernest Glenwood,
John Grant,
Unknown,
Sam
Will
Williams,
Jones,
Ray Newsom,
M.B.
James
Burnett,
Harvey,
Jake Davis,
Willie Wilson,
Marcus
Penny
Westmoreland,
Westmoreland,
Laylie Michelle,
S.S. Mincy,
William Bryan,
Mary Turner and Child.